Hello everyone, welcome to Toti Talk. My name is Fabio Zamaretti and I am the organizer of Tractor of the Year, the International Award for Agricultural Tractors. Within this podcast series, we're going to talk about agriculture and mechanization. And today we're going to talk with Matthew Till, professional journalist from England, machinery editor of Farm Contractor. Hello Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, Fabio. How are you?
Fine, thank you. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your media.
Well, I've been agricultural journalist and with Farm Contractor for about 8 years now. I come from a contracting background in the kind of centre, the West Midlands of the UK. And our magazine is now 50 years old. We cover the latest in machinery developments. We've been a long-standing jury member of Tractor of the Year.
There you go, Matthew. Something that I would like to ask you today is about new technologies, such as robot, autonomous driving, digitalization, and precision farming. So, based on your professional experience, could you give us a general overview from your perspective?
Well, I think the robotics and autonomous machinery sector is so interesting because I think we still look at it as something that's years away. We look at robots and think, no, we won't see that on farm for so long. But actually, so much of that technology is already in our modern tractors. And our modern tractors essentially have the capacity to work autonomously if legislation allowed them to go on the road. But I think one thing we are seeing in the robotics market is that there needs to be a range of solutions. The things that are taking off in the UK at the moment are things like the Farm Droid and the small robot company, where it's more fleet or swarm style robots, or the Farm Droid, which covers small acreages at a time to help with very labour intensive sectors. And there is some kind of traction with the Ag Seed and the Lemkin Chrome project, the combined powers, where it's bigger, but you still need to transport it to the field and let it get on with its work there. I think they all have a place. The actual idea of a fully robotic tractor at the sort of scale we see tractors in Tractor of the Year, for example, is going to be very difficult in the UK and probably across much of Europe. Legislation's always going to get in the way. We still don't have fully robotic cars on the road, despite us knowing that technology is available and works. And I think, especially in the UK, there's still this feeling that people do want to be on the seat of a machine. They want to be in control. Their big kind of operations, their main money makers, they want to kind of be there in the seat and out in the field. They don't want to be sat at a desk like me watching things go up and down the field. So I think there really needs to be a range of solutions there. But the thing that drives it is always going to be labour, which is a major issue everywhere. So we saw it was a major issue in India.
All right, Matt. Maybe we can say that technology is there, it's available, but we still need some good rules. And now something else that I would like to ask you is about how is changing the average horsepower of tractors in your country.
So I think like everywhere over the last kind of 10, 15, maybe, longer than that, we've seen a race to the top, people wanting the biggest tractor they can get. And every year the average horsepower was edging closer and closer to 200 horsepower. And then in the last couple of years, it's started to flatten out. That curve has flattened out. The peak was actually 2 years ago where it reached 171 horsepower. Now, last year, it went down to 168. And I think there's been a lot of focus on people wanting more from less. They want a smaller tractor. It's going to have less soil compaction. It can still have all the technology that the higher horsepower machines have currently been fitted with. And because they're using less cultivation, they're running over the field less. They can afford to do all their work with a smaller machine. And I think that we are going to continue to see not only a plateau, but maybe even a slight dip in the average horsepower here in the UK. Again, people just want more from the machines that they've got. And and I mean, me and you have seen that with Best for Utility, where there's so many manufacturers really quite fiercely fighting over that category in Tractor of the Year, as much as the main category, which Tractor of the Year has always been built around.
So what's the average horsepower you have in England again?
It's 168.4 horsepower. And what was really interesting is looking at the figures for last year, the only categories of tractor that saw an increase in registrations was between 140 horsepower and 240 horsepower. So very much in the middle of tractor horsepowers, whereas smaller tractors and the very large tractors actually saw a decrease. So I think we're definitely starting to see a bit of a dip in overall power.
And Matthew, talking about farms, do you know what's the average size of farms in UK?
So we've got some kind of rough figures on the average size of farms. It's interesting that what we talk about, we do have figures on the amount of farms. This also includes very, very small farms. So there's about 190,000 farms in the UK, but most of these are below 50 acres. Over half of them are below 50 acres. Only 20% of farms in the UK are above 250 acres, which, when you start to think like that, makes it very strange that we were pushing for such big tractors in the UK when there's only 20% of farms that could ever justify it. As a magazine, we look at farms that are over 800 acres. So if only 20% of the 190,000 are above 250 acres, it's such a small figure of farms in the UK that meet this 800 acre thing. And that's why we're seeing a huge amount of people also move into contracting. So they're farming and contracting. We send our magazine out to 8,500 people, and 6,000 of those are working on their own farm. It might be 200-300 acres, and then they're using our equipment to help all their neighbours as well, just to find the expense of buying their machinery. And and about 1,600 are solely contractors, which actually leaves only about 1,000 people who have farms over 800 acres in the UK.
Thanks, Matt, for this wide overview from your perspective. And we are now at the end of this episode, so thank you very much indeed to Matthew Tilt, Machinery Editor of Farm Contractor. Toti Talk is the podcast powered by Tractor of the Year, the International Award for Agricultural Tractors. Follow us on our social media, and for more information about us, visit tractoroftheyear.org.